there and taps his hands and you're just sitting there and you sit there and rocks back and forth and they show him a bit of another murderer or whatever he is convicted. Up to this point of a case, not in handcuffs, not in shackles, one or the other or both, and in orange.
Hello. Oh, I think I need to be a little bit closer to that. Hello, everybody. Meow. Hi, everyone. It's been a few days. How's it going? Good to see you all. Oh, can you hear the purring? Good evening. Good evening, Oline Red. Good to see you. Oh, it's so nice to see you all. Hi, Melissa Simmock. Hi, Cowpoke. Murphy Turfy. How are you? Good to see you. Ronnie. Lovely. Flash fan. Good to see you. Good to see you. John Common. Flight of the Valkyries is really fitting, judging by the distances he had to have flown to do what he is accused of doing. Yep. Indeed. And it's Memorial Day, I believe, in the US. Thank you for your service, John Common. And to all of the military, all of the service men and women, everybody who have done their duty. I think you do it with the right hand, like that. Apologies if I did it wrong. But thank you, everybody. Oh, you don't have to give memberships out. It's your day. It's your day, John. Thank you. Aren't you lovely? John, you're amazing. Okay, so we have Melissa Simmock gifted a membership. Melissa, you keep getting the memberships. You're doing great. It's always wonderful to have you back. Melissa Simmock, FlashFan85, gifted a membership. D Weaz, I can never say your name. D Weaz. Becca Lynn gifted another membership. Cool. Obscure Destinations gifted a membership. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 people, all gifted memberships. Thank you so much, John. You're lovely. And it's just so great to have you here. You're such a great contributor to the community and a wonderful friend. And best Discord ho. I know you don't mind being called that. You're the best Discord ho ever. You go around advertising on all the Discords for us. Love it. And Sarah says thank you. Thank you. Oh, high fives. Hey, high fives. Hello. Hello, Mr. You Canadian? Thank you for the memberships and happy holidays. Yes, thank you for your service, John Common. and all of our brave men and women who have lost their lives protecting our country. Is that what Memorial Day is? It's thanking it's thinking of the fallen. Is that what it is? Yeah, I'm not aware. Here we have what's called Anzac Day. Anzac Day is Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, and that's our day when we recognise all of the military across Australia and New Zealand. But it does, we do remember all of the fallen. And yeah, it's basically the Australians and the New Zealanders, because we did sort of fight together, especially in Gallipoli. That was one where we lost a lot of our people, and that one is earlier in the year. But it's interesting. We have all these days that we use, and they get kind of convoluted because sometimes they are about a particular event, but it doesn't really matter, because really anyone who went out and put their life on the line for their country, you can celebrate them on any day, can't you? Doesn't really matter. Celebrate them on any day. Oh, member for 2 months. Just saying, how sweet is a year? You can say that any day. Doesn't have to be a 2-month day. But thank you, Dave, and I love ya. You're awesome. It's like your November 11th. Oh, November 11th. We have that too. So the 11th, the 11th, the 11th. So on the 11th minute of the 11th hour on the 11th of the 11th, that is Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day, and we have a poppy. We wear a poppy on that day. Don't know what it's. Can't even remember what the significance of the poppy is. Doesn't really matter. We wear a poppy. It's for our lost service members. Yeah. Don't worry. 2 of our congresswomen didn't know Memorial Day was for honouring the dead. Nice. Anyway. Yes, Gallipoli was a harsh one. Yeah. But yes, to honour the fallen, and it started shortly after the Civil War. Okay. Well, I just appreciate that, especially in your country, in the US. I love the way in the US, whenever anyone sees or hears that someone is in the military, was in the military, everyone just stops everything and says, thank you. Thank you for your service, sir and madam. I love that. I think it is wonderful. We don't really have that here. We don't have that many military here. Like we do have obviously a military presence, but it's not that big of a part of our community. But yeah, I just love the way people are so patriotic, and they just, when they see somebody or hear somebody has served any of their life in the military, they are just, everyone around them is just so humble and thanking. I love it. Of course, we are very thankful as well, but everyone in America, everyone is just like, oh, wow, thank you so much. They just stop everything. Anyway, let's get on with today. What are you talking about a puppy for? Oh, poppy. A poppy, not a puppy. We don't wear a puppy. It's a poppy. Anyway, hey, Josie. Good to see you. Yeah, we don't pick. We try not to. We're pretty laid back. It's not so much we don't pick fights. We're just pretty laid back. We couldn't care less. Okay. Now, today is going to be a bit of fun, kind of. Yeah, it'll be fun. Because if you didn't see this hearing on the 23rd of May, which I don't know what day of the week it was, I think it was Thursday. Yeah. My God. it was super embarrassing for the prosecution. It was so embarrassing. It was just one witness, right? And it was a little bit Chief Wiggum. It was a little bit like, okay, so the ring came off my pudding can. Used my penknife, my good man. You know the monorail song from The Simpsons? Yeah, it was a bit like that. Anne Taylor, oh my God, she's amazing. This woman, she is just lawyer of the century. I love her. Damn, she's great. Anyway, I've been back over it because I watched it live with Andrea Burkett. I'm sure a few of you probably did. And if you did, that's great. She's fantastic, obviously, to watch anything Kohberger related with, and I would absolutely recommend that if you can watch anything to do with the with this case with Andrea Burkett, do so. If you haven't seen it already, cool, we'll watch it today. But if you have seen it, I hope to add a layer of information today for you, because I've done further research into the context of what went on at this hearing for you today. Now, what we're going to talk about first is what is this CASTVis thing that they were talking about. So, oh, hello, Amy Warrior. Good to see you. Oh, you've been waiting for this coverage? Cool. Okay. So recently, there's been a lot of chat about this alibi of Brian Kohberger's. So the alibi being that he was about 40 minutes away to the west in this park called Hawaii Park. And Hawaii Park is like a national park, I believe, and it is very mountainous, and there's very, very thin cell tower mobile phone coverage. And when Andrea Burkett went out to the last hearing, not this hearing that we're just talking about, but the last full day hearing, apparently she actually went via Hawaii Park on her way home. And someone said to her, oh, what was the cell coverage like? And she said it was nothing. There was just no cell tower coverage there at all. So that makes sense. If he were at Hawaii Park that night and he were stargazing or just driving around, as he says that he does often, and he happened to be in that location for the 2 hours that his phone is unaccounted for, because remember, no one ever said that it was turned off. It just stopped responding to the cellular network. Okay, so if he were at that location and his phone stopped responding to the cellular network, it doesn't mean that there wasn't some sort of data that could show that he was there. When we talk about the cellular network, we're not just talking about phone pings, right? There are other things that could have shown that he was there. So things like connecting to Spotify, things like connecting to things like Life 360 or Google has like tracking systems within it. You know how when you download apps, they have that little thing that says, allow this app to track you, and you always go no. You hope that you always go no. But you never know. Like there's things in there that can track you, right? And they have to do with the satellites, right? So satellites are up there, and they have access to you down here. You don't need any cell towers in the way, right? And then there's also this other technology that is that uses other mobile phones and devices in order to create connectivity. So you know how Apple iTags work? If you've ever looked into the way Apple iTags work, they don't have a SIM card or anything like that, and they work with Bluetooth, and they use the power of other devices to connect and to create nothing more than a geolocation, right? So all they need is other devices somewhere in the vicinity in order to basically create a ping. Okay, so yeah, a beam, right? So there's all this other data. I said data, I'm not an American. Other data that is potentially available via subpoena and to the FBI for specialists to look at that could put that phone elsewhere other than just plain old cell tower pings that we're all used to hearing about, right? And you know who would know about that? That guy down there, because what's his degree in? Cloud-based forensics. Yeah. So he's not an idiot. He's a pretty smart dude. And I can just imagine him getting arrested 7-8 weeks after the date of the crime, knowing nothing about this crime at all, handing over his phone because he's been told to hand over his phone, being given a public defender, and the public defender going, listen, this is a big deal, don't talk to the cops. And him going, yeah, I know I shouldn't talk to the cops, I'm a criminology student. And also, look, I don't know where I was. I drive around at night sometimes, but wherever I was, there'll be something on the phone to show where I was. And public defender would have been like, okay. And here we are, a year and a half later, and we still don't have the data from the phone. I wonder why. Well, 5, nearly 6 motions to compel later, and we're still in this situation. I know Hella's going native. I know, right? I said data. What's with that? Hello, CH. It's good to see you. And it's so great to have you back, Amy Warrior. Okay, so I wanted to show you, before we get into the actual testimony, there's this unclassified FBI document I've come across, and it's not that hard to find. And it's basically a training document, from what I can tell. It's a training document for local law enforcement officers. And it would have been what this witness would have looked at in order to receive the training that he would have had to do his work to create the exhibits for the grand jury. I'm just going to show you now. Nice logo, right? As a graphic designer, I'm so offended. Oh, yes, I know. I'm sorry, sir. I'm really sorry. Oh, hey, you're just in time. You're just in time, Phil. Oh, dear. Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so that's the Federal Bureau of Investigation CAST logo, and it's horrible. So yeah, this is an unclassified document from 2019, but it actually is that's pretty close to the date that he would have received his training, because he did his work for the grand jury 2022. Actually, no, it would have been a little bit earlier, but let's just say it doesn't look like this stuff would have changed too much. Now, I'm on page 19 of this right now, so I've skipped some of the intro, and I just wanted to show you. So let's just set the groundwork. The witness we're going to see today He is Detective Lawrence Mowery, right? And he is just a local Moscow detective, right? So just local law enforcement. And he has on his email signature forensic detective or something, right? So it says, hang on, I'll tell you for sure. Local forensic. Hang on, I made a GIF about it. Oh dear. Yeah, forensic detective. And that said, he received like the base training in this stuff, which is historical cell site analysis. He is not qualified to be an expert in like at trial or anything like that. You'd need someone who's done 300 hours of training at least, more likely like to get through like a Dobbert hearing or something like that. You would need to have like more like actual experience. You know how they question you, how many times have you testified and all that kind of thing. He's not got that. And so he didn't actually testify at the grand jury. He just made some reports, right? Now, let me show you this thing, historical cell site analysis, just so you can get an idea of what this thing is, right? So basically what you do, cellular analysis tips. So one case of or exigent circumstances is established. So either you get a warrant or there's exigent circumstances, like a child's in danger or something like that. 40 hours over 2 courses, 2 days for each course. I took many notes, yeah. Yeah. Determine the phone company and portability issues of the target phone. What services does the company offer? Are location-based services, triangulation, GPS ping, true call, or timing advance available? Obtain necessary legal process. Use mapping tool to map relevant locations and cell towers. Look for the last call at night, first call in the morning, as well as the most frequently used cell sites and frequently called phone numbers. Determine the cell sector pertinent to your investigation. Look for other involved subscribers, called or calling, that are in the same geographical location for possible leads, and review additional case information for leads in that area. All right, so let's look. 5 steps for success. Set up a tower list by combining 4 columns. It's so simple, isn't it, guys? If using CASTVis, now CASTVis is a software, I'm about to show you it. This is so interesting because this is probably, guys who followed the Zachariah Anderson case, this is probably exactly what some dude in like Kenosha local police station did, right? They just grabbed this data and chucked it into this software. If using CASTVis, load original, non-altered record, LAC switch repol network element name, CID cell number, sector, and azimuth orientation. Import tower list into a mapping program. Plot addresses from crime. Filter call detail record. Okay, so that's a CDR. People keep referring to a CDR. That's the call detail record, right? By date, and identify the tower utilized during the date and time of the crime. And on your map, locate the tower sector used during date and time of crime, and draw the sector coverage area based on the azimuth orientation, right? So what do you need? This is so simple. Look at the little thing they've got. Date, time of crime, location at the crime scene, call detail records, so the subject's phone records, and the tower list for the cellular service provider. And how do we illustrate that on a map? Well, we get the call detail records, the tower list, and then we we put it all into CASTVis, which is the software that they make, that they give you for free because you're a copper. All right, and there we go. So CASTVis is a software. They're just telling you about the software that they give you. Yeah. And CASTVis is the software that they're going to talk about today in the testimony. Now, here it is. This is it. I'm just going to take little Brian away there. Gone. Okay, so there it is. There's the software, right? That's what it looks like. So, fella today, he had this software open, right? And there's map of the US. Obviously, you'd zoom in. You'd search for place, address, or coordinate. The cell towers would load up over on the left. Your call detail records, you would pop in, you'd upload them on the left there. And per call measurement data, PCMD, you'd upload there. And then there's your call detail records there. They would all come in there. And then sample historical cell analysis. On October 8, 2017, at approximately 5 a.m., the victim was stabbed multiple times by the suspect. The crime occurred at that day, that address. And then you'd end up with this. On October 8, 2018, at approximately 5 a.m., the victim was stabbed multiple times by the suspect. The crime occurred there. And so there you would have 4 phone calls there. Then you would have the crime scene there. So therefore, in this whole area, so that would be, when you say 4 phone calls, the 4 phone calls aren't there. The 4 phone calls are pinged off a tower there, right? So what I'm trying to say is that when these things are shown to a jury, or even like when we were talking about Nancy Grace the other day, all she showed was that little dot there. And she went, Brian Kohberger there. Not the case, right? It's actually, that's the cell tower, right? That's where the ping happened. But the cell tower covers all of this. That's the azimuth, as they call it. Right? So it's all this. And yeah, what they're trying to show is that, oh yeah, the crime scene's in that space. Oh, great. Well, it's in that space. Well, so is all this. So is all this stuff. Right? So is all that stuff there. So it's not like it's some big epiphany that all that exists. Oops. It's not like it's some huge, amazing thing that all those things exist there. Page marker, draw on the page. I should be able to draw on the page. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, so if you get my point, right? It all exists in that space. Now, the other thing that you will hear in this testimony, if I can't remember whether they spoke about it today, but they'll definitely speak about it on the 30th. Now, remember, there is a full day hearing coming up on the 30th. More witnesses will be called. I'm hoping that the real defense witness, Cy Ray, will be called, and that is the expert witness for the defense, who actually is a cell data expert, and I'm hoping that he's going to come along and be able to take the cell data information, that some of the stuff that was able to be extracted from this witness on the 23rd, and map it through his own software called Tracks, and be able to prove where Mr. Kohberger was. I'm hoping that he's going to be testifying on the 30th. So this term drive testing will come up. And basically what it means is this: drive testing provides the most accurate illustration of a cell tower's footprint. The method is utilized by all major cell providers to optimize their network, and the survey equipment may consist of engineering phones or a scanner. So see, this is basically driving around and checking where the coverage is and what tower that it pings from. Yeah. Oh, okay. So here's the reason why there's another hearing. It's because this witness that we saw on the 23rd wasn't available on the 30th, right? So there wasn't really a reason for there to be a hearing on the 23rd. It's just that he wasn't able to be there on the 30th. So we got like a sneak peek of what was about to happen on the 30th, on the 23rd. So he was kind of singled out. Yeah. Hey, American Princess. Good to have you here. Okay. All right. So in short, CASTVis is the software, and CAST is actually an FBI team, right? So FBI has this whole division called CAST, and CAST creates CAST reports. CAST reports that come from the FBI, they're far more detailed, and they usually come into court testimony with an expert witness from the FBI who will put forth a report that is robust and actually has real data behind it and is saved properly. What you'll see today is that this is not a real report that's being put forward. There is no real report because it was not saved, and it was presented at the grand jury, and there's a lot of data missing. So the FBI has kind of gone walkabouts recently. They have not been able to provide the data which was supposedly provided for the PCA, the probable cause affidavit, and Ann Taylor's been asking for it for nearly a year. Why have they gone missing? Why do they not want to come forth with that information? Well, maybe it's because there's something exculpatory in there. Who knows? Are the birds from the Hunger Games outside your window? Potentially. Why don't you come to Australia and find out? All right, let's go. So yeah, I just wanted to give you that bit of background because I've been reading this entire document from the FBI, and it's super interesting to me because it's kind of like, to me, it feels like putting the cart before the horse. I've got my crime scene, I've got my crime now, and I've got these call data records. Let me just make that fit. That's how it feels to me. Boop, boop. How can I make the two look like they belong? And they just provide the software directly out to the state or to local law enforcement, and they give them very short amounts of training so that they can sort of pop the data in and pop out these reports. And you'll see how much this detective knows about this in a minute. Okay, let's go. It's a short hearing, and it's pretty fun. Oh, dog, stop it. I don't know if you can hear the dog barking at the birds.
Representing Mr. Kohberger. I think I've covered everybody. Ms. Evans is court reporter. We're here for a motion and a potential witness, I believe, relating to motions to compel discovery, 4th and 5th. That's all I know. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Taylor.
Your Honor, the court is correct. We are here to begin the motions to compel. We have testimony today from Detective Mowery. As the court will recall, he's unavailable on the 30th and 31st, which are the days when we will have the full scope of our motions to compel. So it may feel a little choppy, but we would like to hear from Detective Mowery today, and we'd call him when it's appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Anything preliminary? Mr. Thompson, Ms. Giddings?
Okay.
Okay, great. Detective Mowery, come on up. You face the clerk, raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
All right, thank you, sir. Go ahead and have a seat there. If you're seated, please state your name and spell your last.
My name is Lawrence Mowery, Mowery.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Taylor?
Thank you. Will you tell us how you're employed?
I'm employed with the Moscow Police Department.
What is your role there?
I am a detective.
How long have you worked for Moscow Police Department?
I've worked for Moscow for over 5 years.
Have you been a detective that entire time?
I have.
And prior to that, did you have law enforcement experience?
I do.
How many years total?
We have on 14.
Detective Mowery, did you take part in the investigation into the homicides on King Road?
Yes.
And what was your role?
A lot of different things. How to answer that.
Well, I can ask you about a couple of roles, maybe.
Sure.
Do you do any work with cell phones and cell towers?
I have taken training for cell phone analysis.
Was that one of the roles that you played in this investigation? All right. And the other area that I'd like to talk to you about is the collection of videotape evidence or surveillance evidence from around the community. What was your role in that?
So we gathered a lot of data, a lot of USBs, hard drives that came in. At one point, all of that was given to me so that I could copy it over to a server. So we have it stored and backed up.
Did you inventory it at that time as you got it in, I guess?
Don't have to say inventory. I used the evidence technician to help me book them individually at the time. Right, so the USB had the name of it on it. I would label the folder, what it was, and that came from it.
Did you have any role in verifying the content of the surveillance?
No.
I'm going to have a few questions about that, but I want to talk a little bit more about your role with cell phones and cell towers. So let's start there, okay? What training do you have for that role?
So some time ago, I went through what they say PATC training, which is cellular analysis, and I've also taken classes for the CAST.
The cellular analysis, is that particular to the device itself, the cell phone device?
No.
That is particular to towers?
To the towers and the providers themselves.
When did you take that training?
Well, the CAST, I believe it was in 2019, and then I also did it again last year.
It was 2019.
And the CAST that you took in 2019, that was the ENDICAC, is that right?
That was predominantly again.
He did.
And the CAST that you took last year was October of 2023, is that correct?
Yes.
And that was the actual CAST training.
They were both done by actual CAST members. I'm not sure if one was sponsored by the other, but they were both performed by FBI CAST members.
Oh, real FBI cast members. Wow.
And Your Honor, if I can approach.
Yes, thank you.
Detective Mowery, I'm putting in front of you what's labeled as Defendant's Exhibit O, and those are 2 certificates for training. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. The one that's from 2019, what did that cover?
That covered the use of the CASTVis software.
That's pretty much
And
what we
what
just
did
looked at.
the one in 2023 cover?
The same.
Your Honor, I move for admission of Defendant's O.
The objection?
No objection.
Okay, those are exhibit. Oh, no objection.
Flowers by
Thank
Irene.
The Detective Mowery, how many total hours do those certificates represent of CAST training?
I apologize. I didn't look. It was a week long. It was actually a couple of days each time. 2 days apiece.
Oh.
They did this, but they.
Yeah, and we had long lunches.
So 2019 shows 24 hours, 2023 says 16 hours.
CH.
Thank you, Detective.
Thank you.
Detective, you've written some reports in this case, is that correct?
Yes,
I want to talk about two particular reports right now. One is from May the 5th of 2023. Do you recall that report, or should I bring a copy of that to you?
it'd be helpful to add a copy.
I can definitely do that.
Well, I'm live, great success. Is that good enough? No, it's not live.
You can show it to Miss Jennings.
Good to see you then, man. I didn't notice like Judge is like so
We have a jury next door,
Okay.
just so you know, that's all about.
okay.
Detective Mowery, does that appear to be your report from May 5th of 2023?
Yes,
And your order would move for admission of defendants P?
That's P.
P, like
What's
Paul?
just P?
All right, any objection? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Exhibit P is admitted, no objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Mowery, I do not have a police report for the other one that I want to talk about today. It's one that I received via email today that was written just within the last few days by you, probably. Do you know what report I'm talking about?
yes.
Okay. Now, what I want to understand is we're talking about documents or records or logs that can be created by a CASTVis program. The report that you wrote that I received today, when did you learn about those documents that exist according to that report?
The research logs that I found were from yesterday.
Why did you come to find them yesterday?
I was preparing for this hearing.
Okay. And those are things that existed for quite some time, is that correct?
They did.
Okay.
And
I'm just going to pause it right here. So, what I've had a look into is that Miss Taylor, she's been looking for this data for ages, right? And it seems to me what I think has happened is that in some discussion with Ray, I think it would probably be Ray who has helped her work out how to get this. She and Ray have talked about what files are actually needed for him to go and plot the data himself, right? So he needs to go and plot the data himself through either CASTVis software or his own software in order to show where Mr. Kohberger was in those early hours of the morning, right? Now, because the FBI is not coming forth with the information, the government's just not coming forth with the information, they've gone through what was presented at the grand jury and gone, okay, so who can we bring up to the witness stand and get them to give us some files so we can plot the data ourselves? And they've looked through and gone, so who generated these reports? Oh, there's a Detective Mowery there. What if we were to just contact him and bring him up onto the stand and get him to bring us the files, right? Because he's a small fish in the pond, right? So he's kind of a nobody in all of this. He didn't even testify. He just created files, right? So this guy here, a couple of days earlier, because he was preparing to be on the stand, he went through his computer and he found whatever he could find. And that's what Ann Taylor is referring to. She's referring to the fact that she received a report from this guy just yesterday. She's talking about the files I received yesterday. Why did I just receive this stuff yesterday? She's saying. And she's about to go through what files she received. And it sounds really bad. Why did I just receive it yesterday? But you got to think about who this dude is. He's just some detective in a local police station who was asked to generate some reports ages ago. Yeah. And then he didn't think about it again. And now he's been called up to the witness stand in this quadruple homicide case. And he's like, oh, crap. And he's gone back through and gone, okay, here's all the files I've got. Here you go, Miss Taylor. And now he's being questioned about it. And he's just giving what he's got. All right, so let's keep going.
When you wrote about your work with CASTVis in May of 2023, did you document those items?
No,
Tell me what you found when you were preparing for the motion to compel today.
I found session logs that were sent to me from the FBI.
All right. And in those session logs, how many files were there?
I don't remember, I think there were 6 or 7 different items inside.
Did you look at the CASTVis 48-hour file?
I don't remember if I did. It was on the reception.
Did you look at it yesterday in preparation for this hearing?
I attempted to.
All right. And how about the CASTVis full log?
I attempted to yesterday.
I noticed in your report that there were several items that you listed. Were those from these CASTVis logs that you attempted to look at yesterday?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to, you need to speak up a little bit, or just telling me to pick up a little bit. Thanks.
There were some files that were in the session logs, there were other files that were not.
Well, let's start with the 48-hour. What was contained in there?
There's over 48 hours that was the AT&T records, the original records, and there's a 48-hour session log. I don't know which one you're asking about.
Let's go with the session log. What was in there?
Appeared to be the AT&T records that possibly were inputted, as well as some JSON files that were probably produced by CASTVis.
JSON files were produced by CASTVis. Is that right?
I would assume that. I didn't create those files.
What date were they created?
I believe one was in December, the other was in April.
December of what year?
22,
And April of what year?
23.
Could you tell who created those?
I could not.
How did you get those?
I was provided those via email.
By who?
Mid balance of the FBI.
What did you do with those?
Even as soon as I realized they were in my possession, I had contacted the prosecutor and gave them.
And that would be just yesterday, is that correct?
Yes,
What did you do with them prior to that time?
they were sent to me. I put them in a folder and I didn't do anything else with them. That's why I forgot them.
Okay, and that was the 48-hour file?
48-hour session log, yes.
How about the full file? What was contained in there?
Similar items to the 48.
What is the full file?
I believe that was the second AT&T return that we got via warrant. I wasn't able to open it to verify it.
That brings up a question for clarification. When you say second warrant return, are you talking about something that relates to Brian Kohberger?
Yes, there was 2 warrants that were originally written. One that covered a 48-hour period for the cell phone number, and there was one that was later done for a longer period of time.
And those are what you're referring to as the warrants 1 and warrant 2.
Correct. One for 48 and one for the longer period.
In the report that I just received today, there was reference to a loped bar file. What's that?
It is a file that I received from Agent Balance.
When did you receive that?
Honestly, the modification or the email, I honestly don't remember. Unfortunately, it was yesterday and I didn't throw this stuff together, so.
Okay. So that was one that you just found yesterday?
Yes,
Okay. Did you open that?
I don't recall opening it. But I did, I don't recall doing it.
How about the CDRS.XLSX file? Would that, and CDR, what does that stand for?
All detail records,
Yes.
Did you open that?
I don't remember if I did not.
Did you open it yesterday?
I don't remember. I was looking for it. Once I found them, I was trying to figure out how they came into my presence or in my possession. That's where I started.
Okay. How about the export.kmz file? When did you find that file?
I had found that one yesterday,
Do you know when that came into your possession?
some time ago.
Did you open that?
I believe I did on my laptop.
What did that show you?
It showed me different locations and so forth on a map.
Some stuff.
Those three files that we just talked about, along with the CASTVis 48 and the CASTVis full, are those copied so that I can have those now?
Yes,
And you referred to
Can I
emails.
have
How
those
many
now?
emails did you find when you were preparing for this hearing?
I believe there was 5.
Are those included for me to have now as well?
Yes,
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
In the report that I received today,
Okay,
there
I
was
just
a
have to say that was just a gun move on her behalf. Like, see what she had to do to get those files, right? Like, how long has she been trying to get some data out of the state? Any data, anything, to try and create her own mapping for where that phone was in the early hours of that morning, right? So she's gone and found her own expert witness who has his own software, but definitely can run this CASTVis software as well. And I've gone and had a look into Cyrate. The guy's a genius, right? He's just there's a reason why people don't like him in in law enforcement. There are people who do, but he's a divisive character because he really is a clever guy, right? And I have to show you on a different stream some of the research I've done on Cyrate, but hopefully we'll get to see him on the 30th. Anyway, how much has this lady done to try and get these files? And so what does she do? She goes and gets the lowest hanging fruit, this guy. All right, she goes and finds who has access to these CDR files, the .json files or whatever they are. She works out from her expert witness what's potentially available. She calls him to the stand. She gets him like a deer in headlights. The day before, he has to hurry and find whatever he's got, put them all on a USB disk and go, okay, here it is, like that. And she goes, so can I have that today? Yes. Thank you. It's not all she wants, but it's something. She's amazing.
reference to drawings.json file. What's that?
it was a JSON file that was inside the CASTVis session.
What does that depict?
It's just data that CASTVis would use, I'm guessing, to replot something on the map to actually show locations or other things.
Did you do anything with that file when you found it yesterday?
I did open that file, yes.
Okay. What did that show you when you opened it?
There were references to 2 locations inside.
When you open it, does it just say here's 2 references, or what does it show you when you open it?
It's different code, but there is some plain language or plain English, plain text inside of that code that show 2 addresses.
Did you use that file, well, let me ask this first. That file that contains code, do you use that with the CASTVis program?
I attempted to load the session file in its entirety and it received errors, so I was not able to. That's why I went into the JSON file to see if there was something I could see reference.
Is that file usable?
I'm sure it is somewhere.
What is the restriction for you?
I don't know what restriction it is. I don't know what to do with that file outside of, if I could possibly bring it into the CASTVis. I tried to pull it in as a combined session log, which is what I was trained to do. So I didn't get that. I didn't pull that file.
Wrong version.
Is that file available on a Discovery drive for me?
Provided to the prosecutor today.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. How kind of you.
In the report that I just got today, there's a reference to another CASTVis session and some screenshots. What is that about?
I believe you're talking about just the regular 48 hours folder.
I don't know. I'm curious.
So that I provided two folders. One was CASTVis and one was my last name of Mowery. That was to differentiate the files that I found that were provided to me and the folder of the files that I use to create this report.
Okay. CASTVis is the files that you found while preparing,
Correct.
and the one that says Mowery is what you used to create your May 3rd report of 2023.
Yes.
Okay. I think I understand that now. In that file, I think your report said you found screenshots dated April 19th of 2023.
Yes.
All right. Does that mean that's the day that you put things into your CASTVis program?
That was the day that I made the screenshots themselves.
Okay. Where are those screenshots now? Are those also included on the drive?
Yes.
Okay. Good. And then your report dated 5/3 says that you were asked to examine the record. So I'm a little confused if you had something that you took screenshots of on 4/19, but on 5/3 you were asked to examine the record. What were you doing on 4/19 or before to get those screenshots?
Enlighten us.
So I was tasked, the date was May 3rd for the report. It's not the date that I asked.
Okay. What day were you asked to do?
I do not remember. I'm gonna guess that it was somewhere around April 19th. Because that's when the screenshots were created.
Okay. Let's talk about that time frame then and what you did. Did you actually use a CASTVis program at that time to create something?
Yes.
The CASTVis program that you used at that time, and we're talking about springtime of 2023, we'll call it April for now, if that's fair. What training had you received by then to do this CASTVis program?
The 2019 training.
Okay. With the CASTVis program, what's the first thing that you did?
Once the program is open, you can drag and drop the CDR records into the program.
CDR means call detail records.
Right.
Did you do just 48-hour records or did you do full records in April of 2023?
I only did the 48 hour.
When you put the records in, those are the call detail records, and those relate to what?
To the phone that the records were coming back to.
The number you associated with Brian Kohberger.
Right.
Okay. After you put those call detail records in, do you have to do anything with cell towers?
With the AT&T, no, because the cell tower locations are in the AT&T CDR.
Okay. So you put that record in, the tower locations are already part of the call detail record that you put in.
Yes.
Is that something that you have electronic on your computer and then you open your CASTVis program and just import it into the program?
Yes, AT&T provides both PDF and text documents of the file.
Isn't that
Use the
awesome?
text document to put into CASTVis to have it adjusted.
And when you do that, what gets exported?
Nothing. At that point, nothing is exported or created that I know of.
Can you export the session that you're working on?
You can export a session log, yes.
Did you do that?
No.
How did you create screenshots?
By using the built-in Windows snip tool, as well as the built-in Windows game console, I believe they call it the game bar, which is just accessed by hitting Windows G. That allows you to record your screen.
Are those
It
the only
is.
two things you did, is screen clip and screen record?
Yes,
How many times did you use call detail records in the CASTVis program?
probably a dozen times. I'm not entirely sure.
That was terrible.
Look at Judge.
How many times did you use the
You're
CASTVis
just like-
program in relation to Brian Kohberger's call detail records?
I don't know.
More than once?
I recall doing it for the grand jury because I wasn't the main lead in the call detail records investigation.
I don't understand what that means.
I wasn't the main person looking at those call detail records.
You weren't the main person with the call detail records, but you put them in the CASTVis program anyway?
For the grand jury, I was requested.
Okay. What did you rely on in producing those? Producing whatever you produced for the grand jury?
Rely on what did I produce? As far as the AT&T records,
I want to know what you relied on to do that, to produce something for the grand jury.
I don't understand the question.
Okay. You weren't the main guy with the call detail records or with the CASTVis programming. Did I understand that much right?
There was another investigator that was doing that.
Okay. But you end up involved in it somehow in April of 2023, is that right?
That's when I was asked to examine the data to provide that for the grand jury.
Okay. Was that all of your instruction?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're asked by somebody else who's actually doing this part of the investigation in the case to produce something for the grand jury to use. And I'm curious about what you relied on, to get to that point. I want to know all the records you relied on, all of the emails, all of the conversations you relied on to produce this thing that you're not the expert for.
So I wrote the affidavit for the AT&T records, received the AT&T records. Those records were also given to another investigator who was the main investigator doing the CDR records. Prosecution then asked me to provide or create some kind of visualization of the call detail records and examine the call detail records for the 4 hours in question. That
Just to be really sure, when you talked about writing the 2 warrants for AT&T, we're talking about 2 warrants that relate to Brian Kohberger. There were a lot of other warrants. Is that right?
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to be really clear on that. You've taken the CAST training. Is that right?
Yes.
And you know there's a way
about
to
that.
save your session. Is that correct?
Yes.
And there's also a way just to hit reset and delete your session. Do you know that part too?
Mhm.
And back in April, when you were creating something for the grand jury, you hit reset. Is that right?
Or I just deleted the files out of it. I don't remember if I had reset or deleted. You can delete them individually as well.
You don't remember which thing you did,
I do.
but you decided to delete what you'd created.
I don't know. I didn't delete anything. I didn't create the session logs. I don't know how I was doing it. You delete the reference of the file in the software, but the file itself is not deleted.
Dude,
I want to make sure I understand.
dude.
The record, the AT&T record still exists. You didn't delete that.
Oh, wow.
But the session, when you put that in to the CASTVis program, and it does its thing with the call detail records, which includes tower references, you either deleted that
Bye, love.
session or you chose to reset. Did I understand that right?
Didn't create a session log. I don't know how I would delete it. I just removed the reference to the file, the main file, from the software at some point. I don't know when I did that.
You don't know when you did that?
I don't know.
You can close the software without.
Why
hitting
did you
reset
do
window.
that?
And then it would just stay there.
I deleted that.
And you can also export your session if you get interrupted and you want to come back and work on it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you do that? You left it up and running at some point and then did something that didn't save it. Is that right?
The session log was never created. Did not create a session log. The
Right.
CDR records I was dealing with is relatively small. There's no need to do that because I can ingest the files right back into CASTVis in a short amount of time.
Oh, okay. I got it. Righto. Hang on a minute. So he thinks that because it's so easy for him to recreate, that he doesn't need to save it. Okay. Because he knows how to make it again. So he can just like type everything back in again really, really easily. So therefore, why would I need to save it? Yeah, and I can just take a screenshot of it and show the outcome, but I don't need to save my working files, right? And okay, so this is like basic computer usage, and I'm pretty sure just about everybody here uses some sort of software that you need to save the working files, right? So like people who work in Excel, people who work in Word, I work in like Adobe Photoshop, right? And I have literally sacked people who work for me who don't save their Photoshop files with layers, right? Nice, easy to understand layers. If you flatten those layers out and save me a PSD file, Photoshop file, that doesn't have its layers all nicely laid out for me, then bye-bye, because that's useless to me, right? So it's a working file. And I was saying earlier in a post, it's like being back in school and doing a maths test and just giving the teacher your answer, but not showing you're working out. Like you can't show how you did it, right? So yeah, it's all about the layers, exactly. So what good is it to anybody if you can't replicate it? If you can't replicate it, then you can't review it and you can't show how it was done. So therefore it's useless. It's completely useless.
Your Honor, just for clarity, may I approach? I have another exhibit to show him. I'll give it to you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yeah, it goes through. It does. Well, he sounds like a boomer. She sounds like a really, really patient, like preschool teacher. Unfortunately, that's how it sounds like she is talking to him.
Are you familiar with the document that was handed to you that's marked Defendants W?
Yes.
And have you seen that before?
I have.
Is that something that you were taught from the CAST Users Guide?
I'm sure I was. It's also included in the software that can be readily accessed.
Okay. And Your Honor, would move for admission of defendants W.
Thank you. No objection. Okay, that exhibit W is presented.
Thank you.
No objection.
In your training, were you also taught from the CAST Field Users Guide?
I believe so.
I'm about ready to switch gears on you and talk a little bit more about videos for a second, but if I can have just one moment, Your Honor.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, let's switch gears for just a minute. You, during the course of your work, did you make contact with the Idaho Department of Transportation to talk about some of the cameras that cover main roads coming into and out of Mossville?
Yes.
And did you attempt to make preservation of any items?
I did.
What items did you want preserved?
I was trying to see if they had saved video or still images from those files
What did you learn?
that they do not retain those.
Did you, when you say they do not retain those, do you mean they don't retain videos or pictures or both?
Well,
Did you do a preservation for anything?
not recall staying actually a preservation letter out.
Okay. Your Honor, if I can have another exhibit provided.
Yes. Thank you.
You the hell, Justin. Goes through. And the most adorable kitty in the world. Okay, bye. He's had enough of this. Hello, Mona. How are you? Good to have you here. Okay, so basically what's happening right now is she's changed topics for a moment to talk about the CCTV footage of Brian Kohberger's car, his car, supposedly, the white Elantra. Let him just have a look at the documents. I love how Judge is so animated in this hearing. He's usually just like that. Whereas this one, he's really enjoying himself. I feel like he's kind of into this. He's kind of into seeing this dude square.
What do you recognize that exhibit?
So these are emails that I was trying to find some kind of contact information for windy.com, the website that does weather-related information, as well as has some links to images from cameras that are covering the highway.
And did you learn that you could have some still shots preserved?
I did.
Did you have some still shots preserved?
I did not.
Okay. Your Honor, would move for admission of defendants PP.
Defendants PP.
That's what, I'm sorry, PP?
Double P, yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. Exhibit PP is exhibit or admitted. No.
Judge thought that was funny.
When we started talking, we talked about you kind of being the guy that would book or take videos in from different agencies, even if you didn't verify what was on the device you received. Is that right?
Yes.
And do you, I have a specific one that a couple of them I want to ask you about. One is from Red Star Coffee Shop. Do you recall receiving that video?
I do not.
Okay. And are you aware that it was hooked in or brought in by Idaho State Police?
No.
How would I find out about those videos?
I don't know. You'd have to go through the USB drives to find out what was given. I was just given the mass USB drives. I was not given them by the people that were bringing them in for time. Given to them after it had been handed off to other investigators and other assistants that were helping bring copies.
Is there somebody else I should ask about specific ones to track where they went?
I don't know. I don't have that information.
Okay. All right, give me just a minute, Your Honor.
Sure.
So frustrating.
Thank you, Detective Mowery. I don't have any other questions for now, but hold on, the prosecutor might.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Ms. Jennings, Mr. Thompson.
Ms. Jeans.
Okay, Ms. Jennings.
Mallory, I want to go back and talk a little bit about this CASTVis program. Can you explain to me generally, what is CASTVis?
It's just a software that is useful in creating visualizations of the call detail records.
Okay. So how is it useful? What does it show?
It shows the location and the direction of the cell towers and their sector antennas.
Okay. Now, what version of CASTVis do you have?
Oh,
Currently, I think I have 33 on my laptop. It's prompted me to update to 38. But at the time, I believe I had 30 installed.
this is not going to help.
So walk me through. You start up the software program,
Yes,
and then what do you do?
drag the text file from the CDRs into the system. It ingests the files and then produces a display of that data.
Okay. And is that what you did on the 19th?
Yes,
And then what did you do with that visual that was displayed?
those visuals, I created screenshots, created the screen capture of the video. CASTVis also allows a timeline playing view that you can record separate with Windows built-in software. Save those.
Other than uploading the CDRs, did you change any of the settings on CASTVis?
The only thing that I would have done was gone in and changed made sure that the time was correct because they were coming in at the TC. It was a coordinated time. I wanted to make sure that those were representative of the local time.
All right, so you just changed it to Pacific.
Correct.
Any other changes?
No.
Okay. So you were talking about how it does not automatically save.
It does not.
Okay. And you chose not to save.
No. And in the exhibit that was provided, the actual text says that if you need to save a session file.
Okay. And can you tell me, why didn't you save these settings?
I was creating the visualization exhibits. That's what I was doing with that.
Any reason to save the settings?
No.
Could this be recreated or redone in the same fashion?
Yes, I can, again, open the software, drag the CDRs back in, and in a very short time it is generated.
And it would give you the same information?
Yes,
Is that why you didn't
You don't know that.
save it?
yes.
You can't testify to that, dude. You don't know
I
whether.
want to switch over to the other session files that you found. Were those session files created by you?
No.
Okay. And did you ever use those?
No.
And have you now turned those over, provided those?
Yes,
Now I want to switch gears over to what we were discussing as windy.com. What is that? What is Windy?
It's a website that is available for weather and such.
Okay. And why is that relevant in this case?
We were directed by, I think it was Captain Corporal Payne that told me that we should look into windy.com
And why is that?
just to see if they retained video from the cameras themselves.
Okay, so windy.com has cameras.
They have screenshots. They basically capture the ITD cameras and put them on their website. Those images are routinely purged from their site for the administration of that.
Okay. And can you explain to me, when are those, you talked about them being purged from their site? What's that schedule?
From going on their website yesterday, it's a public website, so I was able to go back to it. I don't remember exactly. I believe that within 24 hours, it's hourly. Within a week, it's daily. Within 12 months, it's monthly. And then after that, I believe it's I was seeing probably like 3 months or so.
You went back yesterday.
Can you explain why you didn't preserve those images from windy.com?
Question.
When it was discussed with other investigators, we would have only gotten, I believe it was one image per day. Time frame wasn't what we were interested in, so we didn't capture that once.
So there is no evidentiary value.
None that we did.
Okay. And have you since gone back and found some screenshots?
Yes,
It's what's available on the publicly available website,
anyone can go to windy.com and grab screenshots there.
and you've now done that.
I have,
Anything of evidentiary value?
no,
Have those been turned over anyway?
yes.
Why did you go back?
I just have 1 second.
Sure.
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. Can you read that?
Yes, just a bit. You were just speaking with the prosecutor about the images from windy.com. And I thought you didn't preserve anything or go back and look at anything during your investigation. Did I misunderstand that?
So yesterday when I was directed by the prosecutor,
Okay, so yesterday the prosecutor said, go look for these things.
yes,
But before that, you and other investigators decided not to. Did I get that right?
with the information that we were given, we were told that there was a screenshot for the day, if I remember right, the parameters of. We did not grab those because they were not in the,
What?
didn't see that they
You want to
were
go out?
relevant.
But you didn't look
Yeah.
back then. You waited until yesterday. Is that right?
No, we looked back then. I couldn't tell you what time. Most of the photos that were taken for the daily screenshot or the daily screenshots were daytime. And what the days kind of thing. So we didn't grab those at the time.
Okay, but you did look at the time and made a decision at the time. Do I understand that now?
Yes.
Okay. Back to the CASTVis for a couple of questions for you.
Yes, let's.
When you were doing the work back in April of 2023, did you see maps on the screen with the work that you were doing?
Yes.
And you also made a video of that. I want to show you a map and see if it's what I think it is. You have defendants R in front of you. What is that?
There's to be a screen capture of the CASTVis software.
Is that a screen capture from a map that you made?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor would move for admission of defendants R.
Action.
No.
Exhibit R is submitted. No objection.
And are you aware that when you can see mapping on your screen on this program that there's a log created? Okay. You would agree that if I were to take the call detail records that have the tower report in them, I would have to have the same CAST version you were using to recreate what you did. Would you agree with that?
I have to have, if I took the regular cell call detail records and put them into a different version of CAST, are you saying that it would become different?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yep.
Let me try to be more clear about the one I was asking, and then I like yours. We might talk about your question as well.
Look at
My
look at the look on
question is,
Judge's face.
The
You love
prosecutor
that.
suggested that your work be recreated. And so it didn't matter that you hadn't saved your session. What I want to know is if I have the 48-hour call detail records that contain the tower list like you have, do I have to have the CASTVis program that you used so I can see what you did?
I don't know, because I don't know what the back end of the CAST software does. I'm just using it. So I don't know.
And you were in this CASTVis program, at least for a while, creating exhibits that would be relied on. Is that right?
Yes,
On more than one occasion. Is that right?
yes.
But you didn't save your work.
You did not create a session log. That's even need.
Would you agree I can't see what you did without your session log? Can't examine what you did without your session log?
Is there to create the visualizations for the exhibits? That's what I use CAST.
But I can't see what you did. Is that right? Is that right?
No,
No, it's not right, or no, I can't see what you did.
you cannot, but I could take those cell data or call data records, put them into CAST again. Results would be what they are because we're still using the same records from AT&T to create
Dude.
Have you done that?
these records.
Yes.
No.
Thanks, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Anything on that, Ms. Jennings?
Just let it go. Just let it
Right.
live.
Can we go, why did you pull the CDRs into CASTVis?
Why did I do that in April?
Mhm.
Because I was asked by you to do it for the treasurer.
Okay, is that the only reason you did it?
Yes,
Is that the only time you did it?
yes.
Okay.
That I remember. I mean,
Thank you, Brendan.
Follow up on that question?
Nope, thank you.
Okay, great. Can this witness be excused?
Yes, please.
Any objection? Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, thank you. All right, you are excused, but you can say if you like.
Oh wow.
Next witness.
Your Honor, the rest of the witnesses will be present and ready to go on the 30th, to the very best of my knowledge. This was the only witness we needed to accommodate with today's hearing. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. So we're done for today?
We're done for today, Your Honor.
Wow. Okay, Ms. Jennings, agreed?
Agreed.
Judge
Okay.
Marsh looks like he had a great time.
Yes, what are you, hold on. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Beth. So I have a whole bunch of documents
Okay,
that it's not clear whether I should sign the sealing or not, because there's no stipulation and there's no hearing, but we're all here together.
Look at him, he's happy.
So can we just go through this and clear it up? Yes,
Yes.
sure. Sure.
Okay. Let's all just get along,
Okay,
shall we?
so the first one I have is motion to temporarily seal supplemental response to defendant's fourth and response to fifth motions to compel and motion to limit scope of testimony. And
Dear me.
I have not signed that because there was no
Pretty
stipulation
sure Cronenberg won
or
that.
agreed.
Your Honor, I apologize. I thought we had agreed those have the detailed exhibits attached to them, and I thought we'd stipulated that those detailed exhibits could be sealed.
Okay, well, the addition on that was limited scope of testimony, so I wasn't sure if that was included in our earlier agreement.
Your Honor, that's the state's motion. I know we responded to that, and we did not seal our response to that.
Okay,
Hello,
state is
state.
asking for sealing on that. Are we on the same page? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Just want to know if I should sign this or not.
He sounds like, hello, like everyone tell me what to
Well, I'm
do.
just not sure. Is there an objection? It's the state's motion to seal. Is there an
Right.
objection from defense to seal?
No, if they want their documents sealed, that's fine. We had responded publicly, and so I
Yeah.
wondered if that changed.
Okay, so I'll sign this. That's one.
So,
I just don't want to get in trouble with your arguments about sealing and not sealing. Okay, I just want to
I
be
don't want to
very
get in
clear
trouble.
on the record.
Thank you for that.
He's not coming off like he's in control, is he?
Plus is piling up with the clerk. Okay, next one is also the state's, well, this is the one that's sealed. Got that taken care of.
He's like, guys, what should I do? I don't want to get in trouble. Should I sign this? Should I
Got
not
another
sign
one
it?
from the state, a motion to temporarily seal exhibits, one of state's second supplemental response, etc. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. These titles are getting long. That's fine.
Oh, it's fine though. I don't know. It's just I think it's fine for the judge to, like, he needs to get everyone's input. He needs to be fair, but it's also a matter of his demeanor, especially with the public watching, to be saying things like, "I don't want to get in trouble," and "Is it? Should I sign this in front of everybody like this?" It's just, I don't think it's instilling confidence.
I think that's
in
it.
people.
Okay,
This is
anything else
such
we
a
need
big
to talk
deal.
about before we're done?
What do you think, guys?
Nothing from us.
Okay, well, thank you all. We're adjourned.
Mm.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Kat, I agree. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So one thing also that interests me about this is that this whole idea with the alibi needing to be, it's kind of like a chicken and egg situation, right? So there's the prosecution is saying that, oh, well, Kohberger needs to provide it in full. Otherwise, we can't, we shouldn't have to provide everything, because otherwise he can kind of manufacture it to fit what we provide, right? So if we provide everything, then what if he were to go, okay, well, yeah, well, therefore I was here, here, and here based on the data that you've provided, right? But then again, it's like, well, he doesn't know exactly where he was. All he knows is that he was out driving and it was in that general vicinity, right? But cat, quiet. If that general vicinity was 40 miles to the west, then that's exculpatory, right? So I feel like the state really is playing games. It's not just the state, it's the feds as well. The state really is holding back, or potentially is holding back exculpatory information, right? So they're putting forth some stuff. They're happy to put forth the stuff that is shining a light on him being in the area, potentially driving back and forth in the Moscow area earlier in the night and then in the morning. But they're not willing to put forth anything that shows his phone anywhere outside of that area in that 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. period. And I think they might have it. So I've just got a little bit of, I'm going to share this tab. Just have a little bit of comment. There's some people on Reddit who are a bit sort of, I say smarter than me, but have some information, have some insight into this that I wanted to share. So yeah, it's notable that Thompson keeps insisting on having the full alibi before the CAST report is produced. And yes, that implies Thompson has control over the timing of providing that report and is choosing to deny it, even if technically it's the bad cop FBI that's being blamed. Has Ann Taylor ever called him out on that? And the stupid part is, if the CAST report is so amorphous, I like that word, amorphous, that the defense could conceivably construct an alibi compatible with it, then what good is it even? Interesting, right? So if this CAST report can change so much and it's so open to interpretation that when it comes out, the defense could just go, oh, okay, well, I'm looking at it now and, oh, yeah, no, I was over there, right? Well, what the damn good is it? Why is it even able to be admitted? Okay, so therefore, come out with it and let's just see it, because if it is that concrete, if it is that great, then it should either put him here in this space or here in this space. It should be one or the other, right? And yeah, okay, so I just wanted to put this here. Now Cy Ray, this guy, I don't know if you guys have seen him yet. This guy here, Cy Ray, he wears a funny hat. So Cy Ray, now someone else has said he testified. When we say he testified, we're talking about Mowery. He testified under oath that all he did was check to ensure the time zone was accurate and then use the Windows built-in snip and screen record functions. While I agree that he wasn't the most highly trained CAST witness, the defense has the data, and I would bet the defense / Cy Ray will be entering it into the same CAST program to see what it displays. But the data is the data. The detective was trained in the program 24 hours in 2019 and was asked to create reports for the grand jury. If he fudged the data or did anything sketchy, and Taylor will undoubtedly attack it at trial. Yes, she will. Right, so this is important. She has this guy on her side. Kohberger has this guy on her side. He's smart. Wait till you see him. He's very good. Okay, so there's been some talk about whether or not his software called Trax is going to be allowed in, or any work with his software called Trax will be allowed in as evidence. Maybe it won't. Doesn't really matter as far as I'm concerned, because what will be allowed in as evidence is work output from this CASTVis software. Why would it not be allowed in? Because CASTVis software is what is used by the feds. So what's good for the state is good for the defense, right? Isn't that the law? So, Trax was used in the Daybell case a few weeks ago. Yes, but that was in a different state, right? Oh, no, it wasn't. That's Idaho, isn't it? That's Idaho. Was it? Hey Ariel, how are you? What's the font I'm using in my channel name? Oh, you mean up here, Idaho versus Kohberger? That's Gotham. Gotham. Yes. Anyway, it's the same state. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's Idaho. That's good news for Kohberger. That's really good news for Kohberger if Trax is being used, because that's his software. That's his proprietary software. He built it. That's wonderful. Okay, so two things. That means that he can use his software, which tracks someone down to within 3 meters. Yeah, within 3 meters. So I would say that he will do tracking of his phone down to within 3 meters via that software. But I think he will also use this CASTVis software, which is apples for apples with what the state will put forth to show where he was during that 2 to 4 a.m. period. And the state will probably put forth that his phone just disappeared off the cellular network. That's what they're saying so far. So Ray will put forth, no, he was in Hawaii Park, because that is what they have said so far. And they put forth the motion to compel. State has not come forth with that information. The hearing on the 30th is going to be really, really interesting. I hope Ray is one of the witnesses. He may not be, and we may be saving him up. But good on Ann Taylor for this deft move that she pulled on the 23rd, bringing Mowery in and having Mowery provide the files that he did have. So the files that were given to him by the FBI and that were obtained by the search warrant. She did well. She did really well. And that was really embarrassing for the prosecution. That was really, really embarrassing. No, the hearing is not closed. It's open. And also, that's another feather in her cap, that she managed to get that hearing to be open and the one on the 23rd of May to be open. Another thing that I've got to say is that the state is trying to get these hearings closed at the moment. They don't want these hearings to be streamed right now. They don't want the public seeing the stuff right now. She is the one who has been arguing to have the public seeing this stuff. She has said, in fact, she said it categorically, that the public needs to see what's happening now, because it's not a cut and dry situation where the public has had all of this information from the government in the PCA put out there. And if you go and look, the public opinion of Brian Kohberger is that he is guilty. And if people continue to watch now, they may start to wonder, is he innocent? Well, you know what? Her words were, Brian is innocent. And if you just start closing off the hearings now, well, the government gets to continue with their narrative. That's not her words, but the government just gets to continue with the narrative. They would like to quit while they're ahead. While people think that his DNA is in the house, he was stalking the victims, that his phone was turned off at the time, quite conveniently. All these myths that the government has put out there that are being whittled away as we see more and more things being exposed by Ann Taylor. But she has said, no, don't want these hearings to be closed. I want the public to see what's going on. And she won that so far. And good for her. It should be transparent. Why not? We've seen so much of it already. Why stop now? It's not fair to stop it now. It's not fair to stop it now. It's not fair. Open hearings have made a huge difference in Reed. Yes, they have. A lot of people noticed something was fishy by those hearings. Transparency matters. Imagine if Reed had been closed all the way up to the trial and we all went in there not knowing anything. I wonder how different it would be. We would be seeing all of this transpire and going, hang on, like, I wonder how long it would have taken for us to work out something odd was going on. And I like those of us who watch trials a lot and are more defense minded, we probably would have seen it. But I reckon that the general court watchers wouldn't have cottoned on it all. I think they would have been Karen's guilty, guilty, guilty. And I just wonder whether or not it would have, I still don't know if it's going to go her way. But yeah, the whole thing could have gone a different way. Still could. But yeah, absolutely right, old line. As a general rule, a trial court judge in Colorado doesn't have much sway over a trial court in Idaho. Colorado. Oh, we're talking about that Cyray's Colorado is where Cyray his testimony got thrown out. He got filleted, is what he called it. He was filleted because he only has an associate degree. Yeah. Hello, illusionisms. Good to see you. Prosecution fears how the public will view their underhanded tactics. Oh, yeah. They don't want to be seen right now, right? So they want closed hearings now. Yeah. Also, the other big thing at the moment is the fact that the public fully believe that the defense is the reason why the trial date keeps blowing out, right? So they think that Kohberger and Taylor are playing games and they are messing about with motions and technicalities and trying to get this pushed out and out and out because they don't want the trial to happen, because when the trial happens, he's going to get the death penalty, right? So they're just delaying and delaying and delaying. That's the general belief out there in the guilty community, right? So every time there is a hearing and it's really clear that the prosecution are the ones that are holding back the discovery and causing huge problems for the defense, that negates all of that argument and it makes that whole narrative fall apart. So I don't like that. So again, please judge, can we close off these hearings? And of course, Ann Taylor's like, no, the public needs to see this. I love Kitty just sitting there looking directly into camera. He's just like, can you finish now? Like, I would like some food. I'm at the point of free BK. I'm not happy with the game. Oh, I'm completely like, I think it's very unlikely he did this at this point in time. I think it's very unlikely he did this. I want to see that phone data. I want to see where he was. I'm not happy until I see where he was. It's driving me mental. I need to know where that phone was, because I don't buy that he dropped it somewhere or something like that. I think he was with his phone, and if that phone was somewhere else, then he didn't do it. And I don't buy this DNA thing at all, because there's too much missing DNA. Where's the rest of the DNA? I want to know. How is there no DNA of his around that place other than that tiny teensy little thing? And why is there no victim DNA in his house, on his stuff? I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense. does not add up for me. Too much stuff missing. Hey, Bob, how are you? Sadly, the prosecution fears that the defense will be capable of exposing the actual lack of evidence, and that will force the court to release Brian. They're going to look so bad if that happens. It's just like the community is just going to be in uproar. Member for 5 months. You know who is also innocent? Mr. Jensen. No, he's not. Sorry, Jensen's not innocent. Okie dokie. Now, over the next few days, I haven't put any lives up just yet, but we got some fun stuff coming up. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive into Corey Richards. I reckon Corey Richards is innocent. Why not? I don't know about Corey Richards. Look, everyone's just so convinced that she's guilty, and I like being contrarian. I just don't know. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's guilty. I don't know. All I know is I don't like people deciding that someone's guilty before a trial's even started. And I also know that when she, hang on, let's go full screen now. When she was arraigned, was it arraigned or her plea hearing? All of her husband's family just got to get up and say all of this stuff about her like it was some sort of victim impact statement. It was weird. You could do that in Utah. So, yeah, that was odd. And now there's all this stuff going on with her attorney-client privilege being violated. So, yeah, I find the whole thing really weird. So we're going to do a little bit of a dive into that one. Don't know if she's innocent, but she is innocent in the eyes of the law. So, free Corey. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to have a bit of a look into what's going on with Rex Heuermann. They've gone and dug up the concrete in his house, and apparently everyone just thinks now that there's been human remains found there. So, okay. I like testing media theories. And the reason being for that is I do believe a lot of people have been wrongly convicted based purely on the fact that the media decides something is true and they spread that. And then, as far as everyone's concerned, that's just the truth. And in New York, you don't get to see the hearings or the court, and you don't get any testimony from the defense at all. You get nothing. So you only hear one side. Yeah, so I'm going to have a bit of a look at that. The other big one I'm really interested in is Shanna Gardner. Shanna Gardner from Florida, arrested in Washington. And that is for the hit on her husband, Microsoft executive. There are 2 other people involved, her boyfriend / new partner, and another dude who has actually been convicted, I believe. So it's a little bit like the whole Wendy Adelson, Donna Adelson, what's his name, Adelson, Dan Markel murder. Bit like that. And she is, she was in court just the other day. It looks like she's going to be sent back to Florida for that. And it could even be a death penalty case. So, yeah, that one's really, really interesting. Big millionaires having to be sent to prison. So, yeah, heaps of interesting cases coming up. You're really interested in that Shanna Gardner one. Don't know if you guys have heard about it. I only heard about it myself yesterday, and Murphy Turpy has been providing a bunch of info on that. Yes, I'm about to let you out in a second. Scratch. Okay, that's all for now. Let me just see. It's a bit of a quiet day, guys, isn't it? It's a bit of a quiet old day. Happy Memorial Day. Is that's what it's called? Call it Memorial Day? You call it Memorial Day? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I might chuck you over to is Mo on? Looks like she is. Looks like she is. Okay, I'll chuck you over to Mo. Why not, indeed? Okay, we'll do that. All right. So, is Sean taking a break? Oh, goodness knows. Does he ever take a break? He might be having one day off. Who knows with him? If he takes a break, it's like for 12 hours. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to send you over to Mo. Social media should be held to some kind of proof in disclosures. Oh, goodness me. Social media is just like a circus. And I tell you what, illusionism, it's great to have you here, by the way. You should go and have a look. I've done a few streams on accountability for social media. One was on Sebastian Rogers, about the garbage that's going on with Sebastian Rogers. Another one was on the Micah Miller case. And basically, it was just about the absolute ridiculousness of both of those cases in the social media sphere. So I didn't go down the whole rabbit hole of the drama in the cases. I went down that rabbit hole of what people were, the lengths that the social media providers, the social media like the YouTubers and the Twitter influencers, etc., the lengths they were going to get views on those cases, what they were going to, and the stories they were coming up with, like the spirit box sections and the interviews and all that kind of stuff, and just how disgusting it was. So yeah, it's interesting, and even like for example, the Scott Peterson case, did a deep dive on that for 5 or 6 episodes, and he potentially is going to be having a retrial. We look back at how back in 2006, 2003, he was tried, and really that was trial by media. It wasn't so much social media then, but it was trial by media. And we looked at that. Yes. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. It's nice to have a few new people here today. All right. He was active on X today. Oh, and no, we are not having a vacated stream. I don't even know Nick. And I'm not Christian Nick. Dear me. God. Alrighty, guys. See you. I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow. Maybe, yeah, I won't stream tomorrow. I'll stream the next day. I'm being a little bit slow with streaming because, I'm looking after my mum right now. She needs company. So I'll probably stream the day after. Darling will probably be streaming tomorrow because he's desperate to get back to things. And then, yeah, the day after, I'll probably do the first of the Shanna Gardner ones, which will be fun. It's so nice to be back. And Hearsay for Day on Nick will be Hearsay for months. I don't know whether to put Nick on Hearsay for Day. I think that's a bit mean. Oh, dear. All righty. Time to say bye-bye and say hello, Raid, over on Mo. Say hi to Mo for me. Love yous.